All right, the Paynes fans, I actually watched the episode on time. I just finished. It's 9:32, so yes, I am recording this, like I said on Twitter, right after the episode ended. I saw how well my new intros for my have and have not videos are doing. You know, where I have the theme song, then I have my plug for you to subscribe and check out my social media in the description below. I will definitely work on one for the Paynes. And If Loving You Is Wrong, probably Greenleaf too. We'll see. But expect those hopefully next week. So next week, after the next new episodes of The Paynes, you'll see the intro on that video. I believe this was episode 24 called The Outsiders. Oh wow. Okay, so it had a decent start. I was actually like, okay, this episode's starting on an interesting note. You know, you got the kids being sent upstairs. I love how Lynn was, ain't that right, Miss Ella? Won't she wrong for leaving us by ourselves? And then, you know, they just got sent up the stairs, and that was it. I did laugh, and I was like, I would love to see what they got in those bags. So that was pretty funny. I did laugh a few times in this episode. Then Nyla and Kendrick. I loved it when Kendrick was like, well, I'm not ready for, I mean, no offense to the actors. Like I say in these videos, I'm not saying anything against the actors. It's just the characters and how they're written. Like, in most of his dialogue, you know, he's just written to talk slow. I don't know if this is another padding thing that Tyler Perry's doing, you know, padding out scenes. That way they can fill up the 20-minute slot. That's what it really feels like. Because I mean, I did feel bad for Nyla, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you feel pretty damn dumb right now because, you know, the way you overreacted and disrespectful and wanted to storm out of the house in a rush. Because I know a few people in my episode review for last week were saying, well, Jeremy, in your episode review, you said that Kendrick say that they couldn't stay with him. He didn't say that. I mean, he didn't have to say it for us to really know that he didn't want them to stay with him due to the fact that, you know, it seemed pretty implied. And also keep in mind, folks, I don't look at episode synopsis for the Paynes. I don't, just because I feel like not enough really goes on for me to care. I feel like if I look at an episode synopsis, I went on Wikipedia during the actual episode to look at the episode numbers and titles, and I did see that for most of them, they only are one sentence long. And based off that, you can pretty much see what's going to happen in an episode. Like, I did see the 10-second preview for next week's episode on next Friday, and I'm pretty sure we can already guess that the first half of the episode is going to take place in the backyard, or at least the first few minutes. You know, Curtis goes out there, say, you know, I'm kicking you out. Then Ella and Curtis are probably going to be in the kitchen for a majority of the second half of the episode. Then maybe Nyla is going to be in the living room and they'll talk to her then. And I mean, once again, folks, I don't mean to bash on this show, but it really doesn't have a lot of substance in it. Like this episode, I'm sorry, going back to what I said before about Nyla. Yeah, she looked pretty damn dumb when Kendrick literally told her to her face in front of everyone that you can't stay with me. And she kind of looked back at Curtis and Ellen, and they were looking down because you did this to yourself. Like, you did this to yourself. I mean, don't be looking at them. You're the one that told your kids to grab their stuff so you can go, and that was it. Didn't even want to thank Curtis, so that was it. And then they go to the backyard. You know, I'm not really talking about Curtis blocking away and stuff like that because he is pretty much right. Then we spend pretty much the rest of the episode, save for like the last 2 minutes, in the living room. I believe, what was it? Joanne, Ella on the couch, Ryan was standing up, Curtis was on the love seat, or just a chair. Just a chair by himself. Who else but me was thinking the entire time two things. Number one, what did Curtis do wrong? And I said this in last week's episode review. He did nothing wrong. And I'm not saying that because, oh, Jeremy, you're a guy and you're agreeing with him. And no, it's not that. No, I'm not. It's not petty like that. If you go back to when Curtis found out about what Nyla did, he took it pretty well, all things considering how the Paynes has over-exaggerated Curtis and Ella's personalities when you compare them from House of Payne. So another thing I really wanted to know was the fact that Curtis didn't even, like, if Curtis found out that Nyla left the kids alone for 4 hours, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that he knew that they were gone for, they left him alone for 4 hours because Curtis was there at the church when Ella got the phone call from Nyla and said they didn't know what time they were leaving or coming back home. But then Nyla left the kids right after the phone call. They don't know when, they left. So I can just imagine. So Curtis would probably just assume it was an hour or so, but it was really 4 hours. Like, go back and rewatch the scene. I challenge you to go back. And he did not overreact. If anything, he was, I wouldn't even say talking down to her. It's pretty much her knowing better or should have known better than to leave her kids here. So I really don't. And sorry, there's trucks in the park. Once again, trucks in the parking lot. So if you hear background noises, oh yeah, that's right. College starts next week for students. So I know there are some probably moving in. So, oh crap. Hope that doesn't mean parking space is going to be limited. Anyway, back to the episode. Yeah, so Curtis, they go to the back. All right, so aside from Curtis not being wrong, like, what the heck is Ella talking about? And let me just briefly say the second thing I was thinking about while they were sitting in the living room. Who else but me was more interested in the conversation going on in the backyard than the I think I might have laughed maybe once or twice during the living room scene of the episode, but that was it. Like, Ryan and his antics and the whole Ryan isn't your father thing. That was treated like an afterthought. I mean, once again, I'd much rather know what was going on in the backyard, especially when we get to the end of the episode and Kendrick isn't even there and Nyla's by herself. I wish we could have seen what would happen. Like, yeah, have about 4 or 5 minutes in the living room, but then switch outside. So that way we can get the emotional conversation, because it looked like some heavy stuff went down based off Nyla's reaction. And going back to Kendrick, so if you weren't ready, here's how we would have said it. I'm not ready for all this. That's how he talks. I'm not ready for all this. So my question is this. So Nyla is pregnant with your baby. We've established that. But her and the kids aren't allowed to stay with you because you're not, I'm not ready for all this. Then why the hell did you ask her to marry you? So if Nyla would have accepted the engagement, would her and the kids be allowed to stay with you? Or would it be something where until you two are actually married, then Nyla would most likely for sure come into the house along with the baby? Would Lynn and what's the boy's name? Shoot, I forgot his name. Kenny. Is it Kenny? Yeah, Kenny. So would Lynn and Kenny be able to stay with you, or would they not? I'm very confused by that. Like, once again, this is why they should have had a scene with those two talking in the backyard, because I really wanted Nyla, or at least to have it on screen, to have Nyla ask the question of, if you're not ready for all this, including the fact that my kids come along with me, it's an entire package, then why would you ask me to marry you? That's my main, that's like the $100 question that I wish we got answered in the episode, instead of Ella trying to seduce her husband, which does nothing but reminds him of her sister. I will admit, I was actually laughing at that bit in terms of how Curtis reacted. Like, baby ain't going to work this time. And, I thought for the first time we were going to get a Paynes episode without Ella going, Curtis, but nope, she said it, and I'm like, I'm docking a point for that. But I will admit, it was appropriate due to the fact that, he compared her to the sister. So I will admit, that one Curtis, I will let that slide, because that was for once appropriate and a appropriate reaction. Once again, at the beginning of the episode, the whole money thing, really put that on the back burner. We don't need to bring that up every episode. Only bring it up when it's relevant. This episode should have been focused on why Kendrick wasn't ready, why did he propose if he wasn't ready, and things of that nature. I didn't need like a 10-minute, I want to say maybe 15-minute scene of the four of them in the living room just going back and forth about nothing. I mean, really, okay, daddy issues are a thing. And it's like, well, Curtis triggered it. Once again, the fact that Joanne said that Nyla's father was abusive, Curtis was not being abusive. Literally, I need to go back and see that clips on YouTube. If I could find it, I'm going to do a video on that. Probably dice up the clip so I won't get marked for copyright. And then break it down. Like, literally, he was not being disrespectful. He was, I wouldn't even, condescending wasn't even the right word to describe how he was acting. He was acting like a concerned adult because the kid's mother clearly wasn't. So I don't know why Curtis is being written to be the bad guy. Like, what the hell does he have to oh, I'm sorry about that. What the heck did he have to apologize for when her and the kids are staying in his house? And I say his house, I mean, because yeah, he was wrong for uprooting him and Ella and moving down there, but his house, rent free and everything. Then she has the audacity to disobey them when Curtis and Ella, when they, well, specifically Ella, it's like, because we're not going to be home, we're going out, so you stay home with your kids. It goes back to like episode 5 or 6 or whatever, when Nyla was sleeping because she was up all night and Ella had to fix breakfast and send the kids off to school. So Nyla has constantly been disrespecting the Paynes in their own household, and once again, rent free. And the fact that I understand that the establishment was, you can stay with us until you get back on your feet. What has she really done? I mean, there was some growth, and I keep bringing up this episode, Lynn's nightmare, her being, closer to the kids, realizing what kind of monster Kendrick was and stuff like that. And now it's all like, oh yeah, I still love him. Now I have the baby and stuff like that. I don't understand what they're going for with this. I mean, it seems obvious that Terrence is going to come back into the picture at some point. But for now, it's like Ryan said, like, what man in his right mind would want another man's kids? Yeah, that was a pretty solid gem within the episode. And what was his name? Bobby, not Bobby Brown, but Bobby Schaefer, the bully from kindergarten or whatever. Thank goodness he finally got sent out of the room. So that was good. Shoot. I mean, I'm just trying to skip over the non-funny jokes. Oh, yeah, Ryan saying, man, this family's cold. And Joanne was like, but we love you anyway. That is so true of so many families. I got family members like that. So that was actually a gem that I did laugh at. So I'll give credit to that. But once again, I just don't see why Curtis is being... I need to do a video on that. Curtis is not the bad guy in this situation. Ella's just way too forgiving, and I'm pretty sure, and once again, like I said before, I don't really read episode synopsis for future episodes because I don't really have an interest to. I mean, like, I was on Wikipedia, I saw that there are synopses for like the next 4 or 5 episodes. I didn't really look at them. I like, oh, I see they have the next few episodes up. I just scroll back up on the page because I really wasn't interested in it. So I'm pretty sure, based off the formula of the Paynes so far, Ella's going to allow Nyla to stay and Curtis is going to whine about it. Then Nyla's actually going to do the same crap again, and then Curtis is going to prove himself right. And then I did see in the preview for next week, so Ella would rather kick out her own husband and to keep, obviously a troubled young woman who is most likely going to defy her rules again. And another thing I want to bring up, I did like the fact that they were name dropping Calvin and CJ. Calvin and CJ, pretty much the characters we wish were on this show instead of the ones that we have. Curtis talking about, Calvin with the baby mamas and what was it, Miranda, and then that one chick played by Eva. What was her last name? Eva something. She's a model, and I think her and Lance Gross, the actor that portrays Calvin, I believe they were engaged at one point in real life. I believe, what was it, Calvin Jr.? Was that the name of the baby? I think, yeah. So Curtis talked about that, and then Ella was like, yeah, and everything turned out good, and Curtis made a point because they listened to them, which was actually true. But at the same time, that was their own child, their flesh and blood, and by extension, those kids were the grandkids. So it made sense that they would be welcoming to like CJ and whatnot because, that's family. But Nyla and her kids are complete strangers. Like, I'm not like saying give them the boot or anything, but at the same time, it's like, okay, what are the other options here? Because remember, you all are facing a lawsuit by Terrence. You're possibly going to be losing the laundromat. So you need to try to get your own situation straight before trying to invite, three, I'm not going to say freeloaders, but, well, I'm just going to call Nyla the freeloader because, but how are you going to support three other people in the house when you can barely support yourselves? Because to be honest, you might not even know if you have a house if you got to take a mortgage out. So, and that leads back to Ella being the one to put the money in the bank, and then Ella being the one to invite Nyla and the kids to stay. So really, when you think about it, even though Curtis is quote unquote written to be the selfish and bad guy of the series, Ella's the one that causes the most problems. So I'm just going to leave it at that. This episode, it started off semi-promising, but it really was disappointing that we didn't even get to see the freaking conversation that I really wanted to see, and answering the question of if Kendrick wasn't ready for all this, then why would he even propose? I don't know why that wasn't shown in the episode. In any case, I would give this episode probably a 4 out of 10. I'm sorry, a 4 out of 10. I know that's like, I think last week I gave it 8 out of 10 or 7. I think that's like half of last week. But I was talking with several people online over the last week since last Friday, and they were saying that, oh, maybe next week's episode will be better. I'm like, I have my doubts, and I was right. This episode should have done more with showing the Nyla and Kendrick conversation. I'm not saying it had to be 7 to 10 minutes long, but just, they keep talking about they've been out there for a long time. Ooh, and Ryan's like, oh, he seems heated. Well, I wish we could have stepped closer to the oven to feel some of that heat, because I was feeling pretty cold myself. Just, whatever. So, yeah, 4 out of 10 for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like I said before, I will definitely try to get my intro set up for the Paynes by next Friday. So when I do a video, you'll see the little intro I got. I really do like it. It adds some flair to the videos, and it doesn't hurt to change up the formula every now and then. And also, I believe we're around 42,000 subscribers, so the numbers keep on rolling. I believe the channel has grown faster this week since last week. So remember, once we get to 50,000 subscribers, I'll be giving away 5 gift cards. After some talking with some fans, I do believe I had a poll in the community tab, and by a large margin, Walmart was the business that people wanted cards from, because I was thinking maybe I'd do like Walmart, Target, Starbucks, but no, it seems clear that I will definitely be doing 5 Walmart gift cards, 3 $25 gift cards, and since it's 50,000 subscribers, 2 $50 gift cards, plus I think 5 cards total, 50,000 subscribers and 2 $50 cards. Yeah, that works. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts on the Paynes in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, share it around. I do have more have and have not content on the way over the weekend. I am actually going home tomorrow morning. I'll probably be there until Monday morning. I'll come back to Lynchburg, but I already have a few videos pre-recorded, so I will be posting over the weekend. So with that being said, folks, thanks so much for listening. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And is 4 out of 10 too low? Do you feel like I was being a little harsh on the episode? But like I said before, I saw the potential in last week's episode. But in this one, we didn't really see. It was all tell and not show. It's like you can say all you want about the conversation in the backyard, but if we don't see it, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.